Hi guys, and welcome to my video on War Thunder's Italy. Now we're going to cover both iterations, the old Italy and the new one in Calabria. And basically I want to point out to Gaijin the flaws with the map that still currently exist and how I would like to see them fixed. This is the northeast side of the A cap. Now if we just kind of pan up here and have a look, there's so many ingress and egress points that if you are coming from your spawn from the north, indicated by the blue arrows, there are so many places enemy tanks could be, and so many different sightlines. It's pretty much a lottery whenever you're pushing onto the cap. And this is the vast majority of the problem whenever you're playing Italy, is it's just a complete roulette. Now, you could push one of these streets and you could be absolutely fine, but if we zoom back here, it's the same thing on the A cap. There's so many different routes to take. There's so many areas enemies could be hiding, and so many areas where you could be shot, and you can't effectively cover your own sightlines. Moving on to the B cap, much the same story. Now the B cap does have rocks surrounding it, but again, from all directions, you're vulnerable at being taken out by someone that's had maybe too much patience. They just want to camp there. They've just got lucky and driven around, and you can't defend all sightlines. C cap, again, it's the majority of C cap is in the exact same way. Now there is a nice big long sight line from spawn to spawn down the main road, and that honestly is absolutely fine. But there's so many routes you can take, just too many. And again, you can't cover sight lines, you can't effectively flank, and even if you do, there could be another area of the map where someone could be sitting just waiting on you. It really punishes players that are wanting to play aggressive and pushing on to the objectives. Just look how busy this area is. There's just so much going on. It's difficult to see enemies. If you're running heat FS, heat shells, HE, if you've got ATGMs that are triggered by fences, walls, trees, bushes, all of these objects just pose a threat to the gameplay overall. Look at all of this mess. There's just so much of it. And it's just too much. There's no need for it whatsoever. Now I'm going to cover this little bit of the map here too. This is going on to the next spawn point in the southeast. Turn your attention to this D-shaped object here, this semicircle. This is completely encapsulated. So there's 3 or 4 ways in and no way out. It's just space there that doesn't need to exist. That could be blocked off. It doesn't help the gameplay whatsoever. Now let's move on to the southeast side spawn. Now next to this green arrow is an atoll, and you can cover both spawns just from this hill. So if you have a couple of fast vehicles with, very good penetrating rounds, a nice quick reload, you can stop the entire enemy team from advancing before they can even get to the capture point. So it kind of negates the idea of the urban map in the inside, and it effectively allows you to spawn camp for the entirety of the game. There's very little the enemy team can do. Their flank route is raised so you can catch them out if they go along the cliffside. If they push into the open on the left hand side area, you'll catch them out there too. Their spawn points are far too vulnerable and open, and something needs to change. Now this is the hill that I'm talking about. Look how raised it is. It's absolutely perfect for sitting hull down and just dealing with any threat that comes from that spawn bowl just up in the top end of the screen. It's very difficult to get a shot on any enemies that are sitting in this position, and it's difficult to move from here and push a flank. It's just totally unfair. Now this footage is from a custom battle. I just had to use this instead because it was a struggle to try and get a game on Italy because no one's playing it. But you can see here this little hill, and this is the same for every single spawn point, both for the east side spawns and the west side spawns. One position covers the entire spawn area. Now let's check it from the other side now. Now this is the east side spawn. As you can see, there's a raised hill above here with plenty of cover. And I'm just going to pan down, and this is where you spawn, in this bowl. Look at all the different areas you need to be paying attention to if you're driving up this hill towards an objective. You can be flanked from the left, you can be flanked from the right, and of course there could be people in front of you as well. There's so much advantageous cover for the enemy that it's frustrating to just respawn back in. And I know you're thinking the same thing. Sometimes you just quit this map for this reason. Now let's cover what I like to call the A effect. Most of the battle in Italy is fought around the A cap, and it's because this is the path of least resistance here. Most people drive out to the right hand side, they try and use this defilade on the left to try and get towards the A cap, because it's the only real safe place they can move. They've got one sight line to cover until they get to this position. We've got a bit of a perilous journey across this area, and then up into this raised area here, where you can kind of snipe at each other. Things are a bit predictable. You're less likely to be shot from some of the buildings just because there's a slight defilade there, and then you can push the A cap from here. It's not ideal, but it's one of the better areas that you can take. But as we pan along the left-hand side here, I want you just to take note and count how many different areas enemy tanks could be and all the different areas where you could be shot from. Just look at them. Walls, rocks, hills, buildings. It's just an absolute cluster of hell. And it's not fun to play. And this is why. And I think Gaijin's new iteration of Italy doesn't really cover this problem. The same problem still exists. One or two people flank out into your side of the spawn, and you're basically spawn blocked, and you can't do very much around the objectives. Now we're going to have a look at the rework of Italy. This is Calabria, as it's now known inside the game. And we're going to look at some of the positive changes Gaijin have made here. Now you'll notice this D-shaped area is now filled in. There's no longer any way to get inside there. A lot of the flank routes and the little busy routes, etc., those are all now closed off. If you turn your attention to the fences here as well, they've been about quartered in height. So this is an excellent change. Now no longer will you have to worry about seeing through these or even firing through them. They're below barrel height for most tanks, so line of sight is much better. It's much better. Now we're looking at the buildings that are kind of blown out here. They look not very attractive from top down, but once you're on the ground level, you can kind of see the damage and things that the bombs have done to these buildings, and they're still very colourful. Now, the only criticism I have here, I would like to see them restored, because one side now has camouflage advantage, where most tanks are that sort of green-brown colour, and in contrast to the buildings that are on the other side, which aren't blown out, tanks are much more difficult to see. So if you're against these nice clean buildings, your tank kind of sticks out like a sore thumb. And this is a very poor design choice, especially since most of the blown out buildings give advantage to the west side of the map. So Gaijin, please put the buildings back. I think it would be a lot better. I think if you could even kind of balance the buildings up a little bit so people can use the blown out buildings as concealment, and people can obviously be a bit more aware if they're near a clean building that they'll stick out a bit more. Now we'll have a look through the top just to show here that the advantage on the bottom side of the screen is the west side of the map. Most of the blown out buildings are on that side, giving camouflage advantage to one side of the map. And I think the map designer, whoever's made this design choice, hasn't really thought about this, but it's something that I noticed straight away, and I'm sure many other players have noticed as well. So please, 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 if we can get those buildings restored before this map goes live, this would be much more preferential to having the advantage to one side. Now we're going to do a pan over like we did last time. As you can see, the spawn side here is a lot more clear. A lot of the features, etc., these rocks have been raised as well, which stops tanks sniping each other at long range from spawn to spawn, which is much better. The terrain itself has been lowered as well, so it's much harder to shoot over the buildings to spawn, which is a positive change. However, the spawn points have not been changed at all. So we still have this issue where the spawns are in the open and they're very, very, very vulnerable to fire from people who have pushed through the towns and are now firing into the spawns. So I've got, if we just hang around here just a wee second, I've got basically my idea of basically cleaning this map up and making it much more viable to play. Pushing this same side spawn, this is on the new map Calabria. We're pushing up over the top of the hill, And again, you can see here, it gives massive advantage to anyone who's pushed the spawn. And if you're trying to come up over this hill, there are so many good sight lines for people who want to snipe into spawn and spawn camp. It gives them supreme advantage. Just look at all these areas. I'd like to see some of these trees removed as well, but I don't think it would help overall. I've got a much better solution coming at the end of the video here. So again, pushing down this side, as you can see, things are a bit more tidy when you look towards the town end, but this open area is still a bit of a nightmare. It allows spawn pushers to have the advantage, and there's really nothing you can do here unless you've got multiple teammates leaving the spawn at the one time where you can maybe trade kill. That's the process of one tank kills your tank, and then your teammate then pushes the person that shot your tank and takes them out, allowing them to move towards the capture area. So again, it's a lot clearer, but it's still very, very busy. Just do a little pan shot up here and let you see what I'm talking about. Look at this, all of this open space with all this hard cover compared to the spawn point that you've just came from. Now, moving on to the solution. This is the playable game area in Italy, with the exclusion of the right and left hand side of the screen. There's a lot of space to cover here. Now, my suggestion is to shrink the map from west to east. So basically up and down here, you're going to see me shrink the map down to a much more, I would say, a viable spawn area. So there's less ground to cover when you spawn to move into the objectives. And of course, there's less chance of you getting shot just leaving your spawn. So this is my suggestion here. If you look at these no spawn flanks, I would like that black area on the left and right hand side to be blocked off. The spawns moved much more closer to the objectives so that slower tanks don't have a miserable time just getting to the action itself. You'll see the blue arrows and the red arrows marked at the top. Unfortunately, I didn't clip this section correctly, so Gaijin, if you're watching this, you can obviously understand that these things need to be equidistant. I've also moved the A cap to the church, so there's a bit of hard cover for tanks to want to capture. B, much the same thing. There's a nice building in the middle there as well that provides hard cover. There's a lot of open ground there as well. It's risky. And C, I think, is absolutely fine. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. Take it easy. Much love. Bye-bye.